Hello and welcome to a special Devil's Advocate with the Minister of State for Home Affairs, R P N Singh, on the day Afzal Guru was hanged in Delhi. Minister, how easy or difficult was the decision to hang Afzal Guru?
Well, these are all tough decisions, Mr. Thapar. But we are committed in our fight against terrorism, and whatever punishment or stringent punishment or whatever hard the decision might be, this government will take.
Now, was this decision in fact ratified by the core committee?
Yes, there was a meeting before that. I am not a part of that committee, and most people don't come to know what happened in the core committee, but I think it must have been discussed in the core committee, I can only guess.
So your belief is that Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi were consulted and were aware?
I cannot actually clarify that for you, Mr. Thapar, because I was not part of that core committee, or if it was taken on board or not. At this moment, I'm not
But would you
privy.
believe that they would have been consulted and they would have been made aware?
Well, I really can't say, but if Mrs. Gandhi is in the core committee, and if it was raised in the core committee, she must definitely have been asked to be.
Now, there's a certain amount of speculation about the timing of the hanging. It happens less than 2 weeks before the start of the budget session of Parliament. Is that timing accidental, or is it significant and deliberate?
Well, it is. I think it is just a coincidence because this decision has nothing to do with politics. In fact, we should stay away from politics at this moment, and it is more. And today is a day of calm and restraint and sobriety, and it has nothing to do with politics, but it is a commitment to our fight against terror. Be it Afzal Guru, be it Kasab, they both attacked the Indian state, the very idea of India. It was a commitment to fight these people against the most stringent action that we could take against them.
I'll tell you why I asked you about the timing, because the timing of the decision to hang Kasab earlier last year also happened just days before Parliament began. This again has happened roughly 11 days before Parliament, and people ask, is this a government suddenly being very conscious and deliberate in the timing of what are, after all, sensitive things like hanging people, and a decision that you knew was going to be controversial and difficult? So I repeat my question, is the timing significant?
My senior minister, Mr. Thapar, has already clarified that. In fact, the file was sent back to us on the 3rd of February by the President, rejecting the mercy plea. And the Home Ministry and the Home Minister took a decision on that file on the 4th. So automatically, when the file came to us rejecting the mercy petition, it just happens to be that it is just before Parliament. But it is not it's not something that we wanted to do something before Parliament. It was something when we had gone through all the legal and constitutional recourse. That is how we have come to this stage.
So the timing is actually coincidental?
It's coincidental.
I want to raise with you certain concerns raised in public by Kamini Jaiswal, who I believe was one of Afzal Guru's lawyers. Firstly, she's asked, was the family informed? She's of the opinion that the family was not aware that the hanging was going to take place. So can you clarify? No,
that I think the Home Secretary has already clarified on a television channel that you're speaking to, that he has clarified that the jail authorities sent out letters to the family. The DGP of Jammu and Kashmir was told to inquire if the family has been informed or not. So I think all the legal recourses were taken, and I think that the family not being informed is incorrect.
The family was informed by letter, you said?
That is the procedure of the jail procedure, is that it goes through letter, and that is the procedural thing. But our ministry, I think, had also spoken to the DGP of Jammu and Kashmir to find if they had actually received the intimation.
And did the DGP confirm that the intimation had been received?
Well, as far as I know, that the family was told, and they were in the know.
Now, the body of Afzal Guru was buried in Tihar jail. Similarly, last year, the body of Kasab was buried in Yaravada jail in Pune. Is it deliberate that these bodies of people who've been hanged are buried in the jail and not returned to their respective families?
Well, as you know, Kasab's body was refused to be taken by the government of Pakistan, which we had actually offered it to them. So he had to be buried in the Yaravadi jail.
And in this case?
In this case, there are certain issues. If you remember what happened with Maqbool Bhatt when he was also went through the same procedure. So there are a lot of other issues that it is unfortunate, but there are some issues which the government had to take.
For people who don't remember Maqbool Bhatt, which was a hanging that took place in 1984, he was hanged as a result of his alleged involvement in the Mhatre murder case in Birmingham. The body, in that instance, became a flashpoint. You wanted to ensure that Ajmal Guru's body, if returned to his family, wouldn't become a similar flashpoint.
Yes, Mr. Thapa.
So deliberately the body has not been returned to the family. Now, one of your MPs, Manish Shankar Iyer, a former member of your government in fact, once upon a time a very serious cabinet minister, has gone on record to say that this is a sad decision. How do you respond to that comment?
Well, I can only tell Mr. Iyer that the highest constitutional authority as well as the highest legal authority both have pronounced a judgment. It is in the constitution, that is what we have to follow. This is something, these are hard decisions which cannot be followed by the heart, but they have to be followed by pure evidence.
Do you regret that someone of the seniority of Manish Shankar Iyer has criticized the decision?
Well, I would not like to make a comment on Mr. Iyer. Those are his personal views. But this is, the government went through all the legal and constitutional recourse. It was decided by the Supreme Court. And I think it is every citizen of this country should follow what the Constitution and the constitutional authority says.
I want to ask you one more question about the manner in which the decision was taken before I come to the likely or possible or potential consequences of the decision. I noticed, just like the Kasab hanging, the Ajmal Guru hanging was kept completely secret, and in a country where usually things leak out through sources or through other means, this did not happen either in this case or in the Kasab case. Are you surprised at your success at keeping something as sensitive and controversial as this under such tight wraps and so secret?
Yes, I think a lot of decisions in the government can be kept secret, and a lot of cases have come about to show that they've been kept secret. Both these decisions were highly important in their own right, and it was our right to keep it absolutely secret, and I think the government has been able to keep it secret, but that itself is a good sign.
I take it you had to make an extra effort to ensure secrecy was maintained.
No, I think all the officials, I think I'd like to take this time out to congratulate them for, be it Kasab's case, where a lot of officials were involved, or in this case, that was kept under wraps.
So you're congratulating the officials for ensuring complete and total secrecy. Let's then come to the possible potential consequences of this hanging. Practically the entire valley is at the moment under curfew. Cable television has been switched off. How apprehensive are you that there could be fairly serious law and order problems in the valley?
Well, the Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir has repeatedly said it is an extremely delicate issue, a sensitive issue, and it should be issued in that kind of, it should be looked at in that kind of way. He has taken all, the government of Jammu and Kashmir has taken all recourse and precautionary measures, and I think he has appealed to the media, and I think I would also like to appeal to the media to please confirm, reconfirm anything before they get it out on the public.
You're very scared that in fact media reporting, particularly if it's inaccurate, accidentally or deliberately, could create the very tensions and the communal violence you want to avoid.
Yeah, it could abet, misinformation is something that in situations like this could actually be very deadly.
How long do you propose to keep the valley under effective curfew?
I think that question could be answered, will be able to be answered by the Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, and I think he will keep it on as long as he thinks it is necessary, and I think he is very capable of handling any kind of incident that
So
happens
this
in Jammu.
curfew, as well as the effective blacking out of cable television, could continue for days possibly, if needed.
That is something, Mr. Thapar, I will not be able to tell you. That is something that the Chief Minister and the government of Jammu and Kashmir will be able to answer. But I think it is just a precautionary measure. It is not that we are waiting for some untoward incident to happen, or we have some information of some untoward incident to happen.
Do you have sufficient troops, particularly paramilitary troops in Jammu and Kashmir at the moment? Because there are reports that several battalions have been moved to Tripura for the elections that are due there. So do you have sufficient security manpower in Jammu and Kashmir?
I think Jammu and Kashmir is ready for any kind of untoward incident if it at all happens. So I think the government is prepared, and if there is any kind of situation, we'll be ready to.
How prepared is the government in Jammu and Kashmir? Because by his own admission, Omar Abdullah has said that he only found out that the hanging was going to happen at 8 p.m. last night, i.e. 12 hours before the hanging. Now, is 12 hours sufficient time to prepare for something that could have widespread and serious potential consequences?
Well, Mr. Thapar, I would say all that is happening in the Kashmir Valley is more of a precautionary measure. It is not that we are onto some intel that there's some untoward incident that is going to happen.
You have no intelligence of any untoward incident?
Because even if the people of the hanging of Afzal Guru would have come to know only in the morning, they would have come to know of this hanging only in the morning. So there is no that they already knew from before that this hanging was going to take place, and they are all geared up for this kind of.
It's 4 hours since the hanging. As of midday today, you're happy with the situation in Jammu and Kashmir? Because you have access to intelligence that obviously I don't. So according to the intelligence you're getting, you're happy with the situation in Jammu and Kashmir?
Well, it is, we can wait and watch, and we are keeping a close watch there. And I can once again appeal to the people of this country, be it Jammu, Kashmir or anywhere, calm and restraint is what we need today.
You're appealing for calm and restraint, but at the same time you're saying you're also waiting and watching. I want to quote to you what Farooq Abdullah, a long-term former Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir and now a member of your cabinet here in Delhi, said to this program in October 2006, when the Supreme Court confirmed Afzal Guru's hanging. He said, and I'm quoting, "Kashmir will go up in flames. There will be turmoil which India will have to face." Are you worried that he may turn out to be right?
Well, what the situation was in 2006 in Jammu and Kashmir, we have progressed from that situation in 2006 to 2012, and I think what you're quoting, I can only pray to God that that doesn't come true.
In other words, the law and order situation in the last 6 years in Jammu and Kashmir has changed substantially to disprove Farooq Abdullah's fears.
Yes.
Except that he went further. He said, and in that same interview I'm quoting, "This nation will go up in flames because the terrorists will do such things which will destroy the relationship of the Hindu and Muslims here." Are you scared that there could be ripple effects, not just in Kashmir, but across India, and that there may be sparks that start communal problems in UP or Bihar or elsewhere in the country? Every Indian citizen is on board as far as we take decisions against terrorists. As I said earlier, be it Kasab or be it Afzal Guru, attacks the Indian states, the very idea of India. So every Indian, be it of any religion, is on board as far as stringent action against terrorists is concerned. And I think to say that certain sections of this country would actually not be very happy, I think is extremely unfortunate. But I take it that in fact nationwide your security forces are on alert.
I think nationwide, I don't think we should be on alert, because that is something that this whole country, every Indian wants this government to be strong against terror, and this government is committed to taking strict action against terrorism.
So Farooq Abdullah's fears are somewhat exaggerated.
He has spoken about Kashmir. Primarily about Kashmir.
He also spoke about the possibility of relationships between Hindus and Muslims going up in flames, particularly because terrorists might try and provoke it as retaliatory measures.
Well, this country has unfortunately had attacks by terrorists, and the government is always trying to be prepared and try to break any kind of attack that takes place against this country, and we will be more vigilant.
A third thing Farooq Abdullah spoke about was the possible danger that might befall the judges who had upheld the hanging and the Supreme Court judges who had upheld the hanging as well. He said, and I'm quoting, "Those judges will need to be protected like anything. Some crook will come and murder them."
I think security is provided to as we get the intel, and if there is any kind of threat to any citizen of this country, with the intel we provide security.
Now, there have been voices, both from Afzal Guru's lawyers as well as in Kashmir, that have questioned, today and more importantly earlier, the nature of the trial Ajmal Guru went through. At one point of time, Farooq Abdullah himself said that Ajmal Guru was innocent. Others have said that Ajmal Guru didn't get the lawyers he wanted. Others pointed out that he wasn't personally present in Parliament. Are you scared that those sort of questions could be raised today after his hanging?
Well, these questions are being raised for many, many days, Mr. Thapar. But one thing I would like to say on your show is that we have taken all the legal process that was available to him. People ask us why Kasab's hanging took so long. Because we gave him all the chances for him to prove that he was innocent. In a country like India, where we believe in democracy, and where a very strong aspect of it is the judiciary. Even a person of Kasab, where the whole country saw him mowing down people, shooting people, we gave him the ample opportunity through court. And same way, as far as Afzal Guru goes, he had all the opportunity through the judiciary system, and the highest judicial body gave him the punishment of capital punishment.
I'll tell you why I raised this question about people questioning whether Ajmal Guru had a proper, fit legal procedure. It's because he's Indian and he's Kashmiri, Kasab was Pakistani. Does it worry you that voices in Kashmir may raise these concerns, and are you prepared to have to answer them?
Well, I was on the TV channel after Afzal was, Kasab was hung. I was on a television channel that very night, and people from India only on that TV channel were extremely upset with me that why do you hang Kasab? So I think people will have their independent views, and she was extremely agitated that we had been extremely brutal in hanging
This
Kasab.
sort of question doesn't worry you and deter you in any way?
This is the legal and constitutional. There is a constitution which we have to follow, and where if you see today we have even in the as far as the ordinance that we have come out, we're talking about death sentence. These are the people who are attacking the very state of India. What else do they deserve?
Let's widen our discussion one step further. Are you worried that the hanging of Ajmal Guru could fuel militancy, which in recent years was steadily and progressively coming down? Is there now a danger that this may accidentally perhaps have lit a spark that could revive militancy, particularly in the valley, particularly from forces across the border?
Oh, well, I can only say, Mr. Thapar, is that we are vigilant, and I think we will have to be more vigilant. And we need to dispel this theory that if somebody from Kashmir is tried and hung on terrorist charges, that it should actually lead to militancy. I think it is the state also which has to bring forward that the charges of any terrorist activity on the state will be dealt in a very firm and committed manner. And that, in fact, could also act as a deterrent.
What about the possibility of retaliation by the Lashkar-e-Toiba or by the Jaish or by the Harkatul Mujahideen, all of whom are located across the border? B. Raman, one of this country's most eminent security analysts, is already warning that the government must be prepared for the possibility of cross-border retaliation by these jihadi groups.
That is something that is always hanging like a Damocles sword on this country. We have been vigilant. We can only make our intel more vigilant, make our forces more vigilant. It is something that we are dealing with, and terrorism is not something that is only that is happening in India. It is a larger thing which is happening in the whole world. All of us together have to fight that threat of terrorism.
Is the army on the LOC, is the army along the international border with Kashmir today on a heightened alert to prevent LET or Jaish adventurism?
We are always, our army or our other paramilitary forces are always on alert, Mr. Thapar, to make sure that no terrorists or other such people can cross the border.
Will this have an impact on the peace process with Pakistan? I know that it's sputtering, it's not quite flowing smoothly, but nonetheless it is the intention of the External Affairs Minister to get it back on track. Will this impact on that?
Yeah, I definitely don't think so that the hanging of this guru is going to affect our relationship with Pakistan. The whole world, why Pakistan? The whole world knows the government is committed to take the most stringent action against terrorists and anyone who attacks the Indian state. And I think people, be our neighbors or be it any other country, should actually laud us and not actually feel bad about it.
I want to put a question to you about the Home Ministry and what looks like a new attitude under Mr. Shinde and yourself as Minister of State. Within the space of about 6-7 months, we've had 2 hangings. Are we likely to see more people on death row being hanged?
We will review the cases, and I can tell you if they go through all the legal and constitutional processes and that is the final, the buck stops there, I think we'll...
Am I right in detecting that there is a new attitude towards hanging in the ministry today under Mr. Shinde and yourself?
No, it's not against, it's not that we are for capital punishment or we would like people to be hung.
But you're being more decisive in taking those critical decisions, aren't you? You're not letting them hang in the air.
Yeah, it's not just the Home Ministry. I think this government has been committed to our fight against terrorism, and somebody who attacks the state, the very state of India, we need to be decisive and we need to take action promptly.
Now, one of the concerns that people have, and I'm sure it's one that you must share, is that the triumphal response from certain potential right-wing quarters could fuel disturbance and could fuel concerns in the country. Are you worried that there will be triumphal tweets or triumphal statements made by the sections of the BJP or sections of the Shiv Sena, possibly by someone like Narendra Modi? Does that concern you as a Minister of State today?
Well, I think it would be extremely unfortunate. As I began my interview with you, Mr. Thapar, I said this is a day not for politics, but a day for calm and restraint. And a true Indian would actually be, it would be a day for calm and restraint and sobriety. And it is something that all of us, if we are Indians, it is first to be an Indian. And I think it would be not in good taste to, as you rightly pointed out, to be in a triumphant kind of situation. Today our hearts should go out to all those brave 9 men and women who died trying to protect the very temple of democracy. I think it is in that light we should take this day.
So this is not an occasion for handing out laddus and celebrating?
Definitely not. We should pay homage to those 9 people who died, who laid down their lives to save democracy of this country and the very state of India. I think it is that calm and restraint and sobriety I'm talking about.
There is also a different sort of speculation today. People wonder whether this new decisiveness that the Home Ministry is showing, and it goes side by side with the new decisiveness that the government has showed over economic reforms and the manner in which Mr. Chidambaram is very decisively, to use that word a third time, reassuring investors both at home and abroad. Are we moving towards an early election? Is this part of a puzzle falling in place?
No, I don't think at all, Mr. Thapar. We seem to jump to conclusions with 1 or 2 decisions that the government it is a decisive government which has been completely battered by being battered by the opposition so that we don't perform. But it's something for the country to see, be it on the economic front, be it on the agricultural front, be it on the terrorist front. This country, this government is decisive and will continue to be decisive as long as it is in power.
Mr. R P N Singh, thank you very much for this interview.
Thank you.